Have you ever wondered what truly lies within the walls of a forgotten home? What secrets fester in the dust and silence? Tonight, we're not just telling ghost stories. We re-stepping into the real nightmares of four urban explorers who dared to cross the threshold of a house that never wanted them to leave. These accounts are based on their terrifying experiences brought to life for you. Be warned, what you are about to see might stay with you long after the screen goes dark. Welcome to Real Nightmares. Our first story comes from a photographer named Leo, who was documenting the decay of an old Victorian mansion on the outskirts of town. He'd explored every room, capturing the beauty in the ruin, until he found the narrow staircase leading to the attic. The air grew heavy, thick with the smell of old paper and something else, something metallic and sweet. He pushed open the attic door, his lantern cutting a weak beam through the dense, swirling dust. The space was a graveyard of forgotten things, shrouded furniture, broken toys, and stacks of yellowed newspapers. But in the farthest corner, almost lost in the gloom, there was a shape. He raised his lantern higher. It was a woman, crouching, her back to him. Her thin dress was from another era, and her hair, long and black, cascaded over her shoulders, obscuring her face. "Hello," Leo called out, his voice sounding small and intrusive. "Are you okay?" She didn't respond. Slowly, she began to turn. It wasn't a natural movement. It was a disjointed, agonizing rotation, like old gears grinding against each other. The lantern light trembled in his hand as her face came into view. It was pale, impossibly so, like polished bone. But that wasn't the horror. Her features, they were all wrong. Her eyes were too far apart, her nose just a sliver of cartilage, and her mouth was a wide, lipless slash that stretched from ear to ear, frozen in a silent, ecstatic grin. She wasn't human. Not anymore. The grin widened, impossibly, a fissure cracking across her face as she began to rise, her joints popping like dry twigs. Leo didn't even scream. He just turned and ran. The image of that awful, welcoming smile burned forever into his mind. He never went back. He never had to. Sometimes, when he wakes up in the dead of night, he can still see her, crouching in the corner of his own dark room, smiling. Next, we journey into the heart of the house with Maya, a paranormal investigator who was drawn to the home by rumors of violent poltergeist activity. The sun had set, and she was alone in what records showed was the master bedroom. Her equipment was silent. The air was still. She was about to pack it up, dismissing the rumors as local folklore, when she heard it. A faint sound, like a mouse scratching inside the wall. Scratch, scratch, scratch. It started low, near the floorboards, but it began to travel. Up, up the wall, the sound growing louder, more frantic. It wasn't a mouse. It was the sound of fingernails, long and sharp, digging desperately into the plaster from the other side. Maya backed away, her heart hammering against her ribs. She watched, horrified, as a long, horizontal scratch began to form on the floral wallpaper, tearing through the faded pattern. Then another below it, and another. The scratching intensified, a frenzy of sound and destruction. The wallpaper peeled away as if clawed from within, and the plaster underneath began to crack. A fissure appeared, then widened, and from the darkness inside the wall, a pale, bony hand emerged, fingers bent at impossible angles. It clawed at the edge of the hole, pulling. An arm followed, then a shoulder, the body contorting and twisting as it squeezed through the narrow opening. The figure that crawled out onto the bedroom floor wasn't a person. It was a thing of sharp angles and elongated limbs, its skin stretched tight over its skeleton. It moved with a jittering, unnatural crawl, its head lolling on a broken neck, and as it turned its face toward her, the room was plunged into strobing darkness. The only light was the flicker from her failing flashlight, catching glimpses of a face with empty sockets and a mouth locked in a permanent, agonized scream. It was the scream she hadn't heard, the one that had been trapped inside the walls for a century, and now it was free. Our third encounter is perhaps the most unsettling. It comes from a man named Alex, who was exploring the same house a few years later. He wasn't a ghost hunter or a photographer, just someone with a morbid curiosity about abandoned places. He found himself in a large, empty ballroom. The only thing left in the room was a massive, ornate mirror, its silvered glass clouded with age. Curious, he walked up to it, expecting to see his own tired reflection. But there was nothing. The mirror reflected the decaying room behind him perfectly, the peeling paint, the boarded-up windows, the dust motes dancing in the gloom. But where his reflection should have been, there was only an empty space. He waved his hand in front of the glass. Nothing. He stepped closer, his breath fogging a patch of the surface that wasn't there. It was like he was a ghost. A nervous laugh escaped him, but the sound died in his throat. Inside the mirror, in the spot where he should have been, something began to form. It started as a ripple in the glass, a distortion in the reflection of the room. The air in the mirror shimmered and warped, pulling the reflection of the wallpaper and floor into a vaguely human shape. It solidified. It was his height, his build, wearing his clothes. But it wasn't him. Its face was a liquid mask, features melting and reforming. And then it looked at him. Its eyes weren't his eyes. They were glowing, silver orbs of cold, ancient intelligence. It raised its hand, and Alex felt an unseen force press against his own body. It smiled, but the smile was a twisted mockery, a fluid distortion in the glass. The thing in the mirror was a copy, a replacement, and it was looking out at him with a predatory hunger. Alex felt a terrifying coldness seep into his bones, a feeling of being erased, of being replaced. He stumbled backward, breaking eye contact, and fled the room, not daring to look back, terrified that if he did, he would see his own inhuman doppelganger stepping out of the glass to take his place. He says that to this day, he avoids mirrors. He's afraid that one day, he'll look into one and see nothing at all. Or worse, he'll see that thing looking back, waiting. For our final, terrifying tale, we follow a group of teenagers who dared each other to spend a night in the house. They thought it was a joke, a test of courage. They set up camp in the grand foyer, their laughter echoing through the silent halls. As midnight struck, the house fell silent. The nervous laughter died down. That's when the first scream echoed through the darkness. It wasn't one of them. It was a woman's shriek, filled with terror and pain, and it seemed to come from everywhere at once. A deep, pulsating red light pulsed through the hallway at the end of the foyer, illuminating the darkness for a split second before plunging them back into black. Then another scream, this time a man's, guttural and raw. Again, the hallway flashed with that sickening red glow. With each scream, the source felt closer. The air grew thick and cold, filled with a tangible sense of dread. One of the teens, holding a camera, pointed it down the long, dark corridor, its night vision cutting through the black. As the next scream ripped through the house, the hallway lit up in red, and the camera captured it. Figures, dozens of them, rushing down the hall, directly toward them. They were translucent, like smoke, their forms blurred and indistinct, but their intent was clear. They were an ethereal mob, a stampede of the damned, their silent mouths open in eternal screams. Black, smoky trails bled from their bodies, and the camera frame shook violently, as if the very foundation of the house was trembling in fear. The teens scrambled, tripping over each other in a desperate panic to get out. They burst through the front door and didn't stop running until the house was just a dark silhouette against the moonlit sky. They never spoke of what they saw, but the footage remains, a chilling testament to the night the screams of the past came rushing back. These four encounters are but a glimpse into the darkness that can take root in a place left to ruin. Are they the echoes of a tragic past, or something far older and more malevolent? The truth remains locked inside that haunted, abandoned house, waiting in the shadows, listening in the walls, and watching from the mirrors. It waits for the next curious soul to step inside. Thank you for joining us on this journey into real nightmares. If you have a story you think we should hear, share it in the comments below. And if you have the courage, subscribe and hit the bell for more encounters with the unknown. Stay safe, and whatever you do, don't go exploring alone.